swear. Okay, let me show you too what is in the Administrative Systems at Stanford folder. I've got that summary that I was going over with you. We've got the commonly used BI reports, which we're going to talk about next. We have a CRISP user guide in here. We talked a little bit about using the clinical research invoicing system. There's a really useful reference there. This is the spreadsheet I was telling you guys about that that I love. Look at that. Every expenditure type that you can imagine. If you're struggling with FinGate and you want some help with that, you can go to OpenLab every Friday via Zoom. There's a FinGate OpenLab. Here's some info on how to request access in SARA. So if you maybe don't have the access you need, you want to work with your division manager, department, or GFA to get access, this is the step-by-step. It's just one page. It's super simple. Just submit a help ticket. And then if you aren't already on the website for solutions from SARA, this comes from the Office of Research Administration, and they send little tech tips to kind of the same things I was showing you, like little things that SARA can do that you maybe didn't know about. So, okay. Commonly used BI reports. Again, these are the ones that I use as a research administrator. Finance people may use a whole different suite of reports. OSR has special reports that I cannot even access. So there's a lot of functionality to BI that I'm not going to go over today, but I'm going to show you the stuff that I touch as a research administrator most frequently. So if we go back out to BI reporting, so PTA inquiry, I use this to hack a lot of different things. It's the very first item on the financial reporting directory. And I just put the award number in here. It's just one entry and it tells me so much. So I hit apply and I can see how many tasks does it have? Is it open or closed? Is it a sponsored project or a university funded project? And another thing I use it for is to find a contact person. Like if it's somebody else's PI, then the award manager will be that person's name. So if you see down here, so we've got some tasks that I'm the task manager for, but this is a different PI. This is Jay Rajadas, and his research administrator is Kumbel. So I know that Kumbel is my contact if I need to talk to her about that task. Same thing here, Adam Freimeyer, it's Rachel. So I can contact Rachel if I need some help with something. So I can find out a lot of information. See here, I can see what type of research it is. This is sponsored. And I can tell whether it's open or closed. You can see that the award end date is 2022. So I know that it's still open. Because sometimes when you're working on something, it becomes really important to know, can I still do anything or is this thing closed? And I've got to work with RMG compliance and I have other issues to worry about. So PTA inquiry, really useful for a lot of research types of items. So you can also see if there's a cost share PTA, funding years, award type, we talked about that, and whether it's active, on hold, or closed. Expenditure type and object code search. This is the one where if you don't have this spreadsheet saved on your desktop, you can look it up in BI. So I can go here and I can type in an expenditure type. Say I'm working on and you can see I've got the whole list here now, but if I want, if I say, oh, I've got this on my project, this 51190, what is that? Well, there it is. It's salary over the cap. One of our favorite things as research administrators is to do salary over the cap. And that way I know this is for, if the sponsor has a cap, then I know that I'm in compliance because I've got salary over the cap in my project. But say there was an expenditure type that I wasn't familiar with, I could get the full definition here. Okay, next one is actual pay. Now I'm not going to run this because of confidentiality, but actual pay is going to allow you to generate actual numbers, dollar amounts in someone's paycheck and which sponsored project or unrestricted fund they charge to. And this includes stuff that may be, you know, supplemental to their pay. It's really useful when you're doing background research on effort reporting, which we will talk about in the post-award section. So we in the RAC use this report a lot. We pivot the data and we get information by month, by award type. You can find it here, so you can do actual pay details by employee by drilling down into this report. You just put the date range and then the name of the employee. So this is really helpful if you need to do digging into the past about pay and effort. Monthly expenditure detail statement. This is the one that I use when I'm updating my monthly financial summaries for my PIs. So it has this page here. You just put in the award. it automatically pops up this thing, no data found. You can just ignore that. UARMJ, but I'm just going to pick one and show you what's the date range that I'm doing here, and I just hit apply and it's going to pop out for me. And this is what I use to modify my DOM dashboard report. I can also generate the DOM dashboard report fresh and populate that out, but this is another way of just getting the transactional level detail. It tells me everything that's charged for that month and a description of it here, and then the totals, the totals at the very end of how much has been spent as of that month. So I've used that report every single month. Fiscal to date fund statement. This is going to show, this is for your it's more often for your university funds, for your non-sponsored. It's going to tell you how much funding has gone into a PTA. Sometimes you'll get a request like, I would like to spend some money. How do I know how much I have? Well, we can use that report to get to it. Hang on a second, let me get to that one. Fiscal fund to date. And this is one that the interface is a little tricky because you have to actually scroll over. So when you, again, you're going to get that blank. And this is a little frustrating because it doesn't tell you why. Why did I get no results? Well, this is just an automated report, but if you don't have permissions, you'll get the same thing. And if there was no activity, you'll get the same thing. The system doesn't tell you the reason that they're not giving you information, they just don't give it to you. So GHFOE, so that's the one I want to put in. I want to put in the award and then the month, just like I did for the sponsored one, but make sure you click this year-to-date detail by project tab. This is really important. If you don't click this, you're not going to get anything. So if you stay on that instructions page, you're just going to get that blank page again, and it's not going to tell you why. So we just hang on and let it do its churn, and then it'll pop up a report here in just a minute. So you can see there's the report, the fund, how much came in this year. And if there were multiple transfers, we would see all of them there. So that's how you work that one. Labor schedule details. I use this a lot to kind of monitor people to make sure that everybody's labor schedule, basically their personnel record, is 100% supported. Now, if it's not 100% supported, it doesn't mean that people don't get paid. It just means that it goes on the org suspense account, and you're just going to have to do a retroactive change later on to fix it. So obviously, we would rather be monitoring labor schedule details to make sure that we are on track for everybody, then we would like to do that in advance rather than after the fact. So again, I'm not, for confidentiality reasons, I'm not going to run anybody here, but you can see this is where you would do the search to look up the employee name, and then you select the date range that you want to check. And this report's going to tell you if people are 100% funded or not 100% funded. And if they're not 100%, then it's our job to go into labor schedules and fix it. Okay. Next one is labor distribution adjustments real time. This one's really useful if you're wanting to know what happened to my LDA, right? What happened to my retroactive change? And again, I don't want to put anything in here right now because of confidentiality reasons, but I can click over to LD adjustments and it'll generate a report. And the nice thing about this too is that if OSR has some comments for you, and sometimes they do, they have some suggestions for how you can improve your justifications. And we have a case study for that in the post-award section. We will be talking about how to write a great retroactive adjustment justification. But if they have a comment for you, it'll show up in this report, and you can see everybody who approved this particular retroactive transaction, when they approved it, any comments that they made. So it's really good for, again, for research. If you're like, what in the world is that LDA doing on my project? This is a report that will give you all of the granular detail you could want. Monthly stipend and other payments. I just want to mention this if you're working with postdocs, and if you have access to GFS, you can go to this report, monthly stipend, and it'll actually allow you to run a report that shows stipend payments and where they charged. And this one is not in the directory, so you can see I did a search for it. It's called GFS 030. So you can open it from here. I just put in monthly stipend into the search and I found it. And I encourage you definitely to use the search function here in BI. It will help you. It will help guide you to get some reports. But again, this, if I put somebody in, you would see it here, but I don't want to do that for confidentiality reasons. Okay. award configuration report. This is a good place to show, sometimes maybe you're working on a project and you are trying to figure out who at OSR handles this account. Maybe who at OSR is sending the invoices to the sponsor. Well, we can look up the award configuration report and see that. So if we go to, let's see if I can do report. I think I wrote one down. Yeah. I think I'm overloading BI here. But you can see again, you know, the award number unlocks everything. So UARNG, I'm just going to use that same sponsored project that I've been using. And it generates multiple pages. It's extremely thorough. You can see who created it, when they created it. This is all the stuff that OSR post-award accounting is doing in the background to set up a project. So you can see like the kind of project it is cost reimbursement. That means that we get reimbursed by the sponsor when we incur the cost. They don't just send us a check. It gives the amount. And then here, this is what I wanted to point out. Who are your people in OSR? Well, the biller is Justin Focal over at OSR. So if you're having trouble, if there's something that's late coming in, you can email Justin, right? The collector is Michelle Alabastro. So if the sponsor's late and you want to inquire with the collector, it's Michelle. Who's the accountant? Who's closing it out? It's Shri. So all this stuff here is available to you when you run this award configuration report. So again, I'm showing you ways to be a detective, basically. What are the ways that we can find out like the full story on the grant and find out who can help us with it? Accounts receivable history report. This is the last one I'm going to run. We're almost to the end. And this one is really, really, really important for clinical trials because we, you know, unlike federal awards where you get that cost reimbursement award and the notice of award and you have access to all that money, with the clinical trials, you invoice as you've hit those milestones or, you know, as you're hitting those fee schedules. So it becomes important to know how much money have we actually gotten for this award. Well, accounts receivable history real time is just what it says. Unlike some of these other reports that are by the month end, this is going to show you from real time how much we've received. So I'm going to use that same one that I showed you in CRISP. I'm going to pop over here to accounts receivable. And this is how much money have we received from the sponsor for this particular clinical trial. So just take a couple seconds to run this one. So you can see the funding available balance, the cumulative funded amount, the transaction amount, and then see how these payments start to populate. So back in 2018, we didn't have anything, and then we had 52, and then we had 78. So you can see it coming through. And so you can monitor this and compare it with what you're seeing in CRISP in terms of, you know, hey, we've invoiced for 100,000, but we've only received 78,000. So what's the disconnect? Is that $22,000 invoice on hold? Do I need to follow up with OSR? Do I need to follow up with someone else, with the clinical research coordinator? What do I need to do? This is how you do that research. So the last thing on my summary doc is the consolidated expenditure report dashboard. And this is budget versus actuals, trends, variances. I mean, it's just a ton of like the even more granular detail of every single expenditure in iJournal. It is here in the financial reporting directory. If we just go up to up a little ways, where did I see it? I tend to use the dashboard rather than consolidated expenditure report, but you can get there from here. So there's your tour. I know it was really scintillating BI tour, but these are the common reports that I use as a research administrator to do my detective work and to know everything about my project.